hello, and welcome to episode number 476 of the show. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, we've got a story that really struck gold, a murky delay, flying hand soap, and WILMA! Sorry, it's been written in there.
What is happening?
We've had an absolute deluge of entries, including the rain in the UK today. For the caption this, and in the military, we've got fundraising news for a popular Vulcan, as well as some updates from our very own grey expert, Armando. And joining me across the flooded fields of East Anglia this week is, the guy who pushed through the floods to get home this evening. It's Matt Smith.
I don't know how. Carlos and I left about half an hour apart from each other, and we had, I think, safe to say, very different journeys home.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we definitely had different journeys home. But I did hear a second ago, according to the wife, that it has slowed down a bit outside with the rain.
Oh, thank goodness for that. What an utter relief, frankly.
We're going to need at least a week to get rid of the deluge that has come down today here.
Indeed.
In the UK.
Indeed.
But anyway, welcome, Matt. Good to see you on, as always.
Hello. I want to find out what it's doing in Buckinghamshire weather-wise, to be honest.
I know. And on that note, let's hand things over to our resident fan of all things Seat 1A and BA. It is, of course, Neville Bounds.
Well, I'm pleased to say that the rain has eased off somewhat now, which is good because it was throwing it down later on. Been a very busy week for me. Lots of things going on at our office in Brighton. Had a big event yesterday for some customers, which was marvellous, but tiring, it has to be said. And so I'm pleased to have a slightly quieter day today. But no flying this week, but lots of driving instead. But there we go. That was all for this week.
Oh, no rants from you this week, Nev?
No, not yet. I'm not flying until the 29th of October to Gran Canaria, and going from Gatwick, not my normal airport.
Gatwick?
So there'll be opportunity for comment and criticism, as you can imagine.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to that.
Like I say, for no other reason, because it means that I will have the opportunity, no doubt, to play this again.
Oh, yes. We're going to have to play that soon again, aren't we?
We appear to be having...
Even that's having an issue as well.
We seem to be having some technical problems in the studio at the moment. This could be a worry for the rest of the show.
So Armando, unfortunately, can't be with us this week, but he has, as we said, sent us in some military stuff for later on the show. But hopefully, fingers crossed, Armando will be back with us next week. But joining us, as always, in the virtual studio, as we like to say, is, of course... it's a guy who has been finding some rather interesting stories this week. It's safe to say. It's Nik Codling.
Evening. Good to be back. And it's hope we're all trying to get over the trench foot now, and drying out nicely, and glad that we're all back in the studio nice and safely.
I know. Heating's back on. We switched our heating back on this week.
Crikey.
I know. It's terrible, isn't it? Unlike, obviously, producer John, because I doubt whether he's got his heating on.
No, I doubt that somehow, yeah. The air conditioning is still on, saying. Yeah, that's all right for some, isn't it, eh?
So let's see who has joined us in the live YouTube chat room this evening. Start at the top of the list. And Neville Bounds is in there, obviously, first off. We've got local listener, Mazoos, is in there. Hello to you. We've got Lee Davies is in there as well. Good to see you. We've got, just scrolling through the list, Richard Adams. Good to see you in there, Richard. Alan White. Hello, Alan. Bill's in there as well. Good to see you, Bill. Sturman. Hello, Sturman. Richard is also in there. Good to see you, Richard. Let me scroll down. Masha, hello to you, Masha. Lovely to see you there. Hope it's drier where you are. Bill is there. Let me scroll down, make sure. Jonathan Warner's in there. Good to see you in there, Mr. Warner. And don't forget, Mr. Warner sent us in some great pictures in as well. The lovely Jenny in Rome is in the chat room as well. Lovely to see you in there, Jenny. And she's saying it's still rather warm where she is in Rome. Oh, honestly, rub it in. Cat Ridiculous Wits is also in there this week. Good to see you in there. Mark Priestley. Hello to you, Mark. He's mentioning the TUI incident that happened at Leeds today. We've got more on that later. Hobby Time as well. Good to see you in there. And thanks to everyone who's joined us this evening. Don't forget, if you're listening to us on our audio podcast, we are live on YouTube every Friday night at 7 o'clock, all being well, as long as we're not flooded out. If you find us on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon and the bell icon, which is right next to it, but to be notified when we are recording live episodes, as we are right now. Because we'd love to have you in the chat room, wouldn't we, guys? Yes, Carlos, we would. Thanks for that. So, we've got loads to get through on the show this week, loads of stuff to get through. Plus, we have also got the results of our competition to win the Sally B mug, which we posted on our Facebook page, the competition, and also in last week's show. So we've got the results of that as well. We've also got a new quiz, a new book to win this week as well, and loads more great stuff. So we've got loads of commercial news to get through. So if all the team is ready,
we certainly are.
Let's go.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
So, kicking off the commercial news stories this week from thestreet.com, and nightmare infestation overtakes plane and delays flight for hours. We've all heard of snakes on a plane. Well, this is slightly different than that. So over the last few weeks, there have been several incidents that have caused some to think of the 2006 film Snakes on a Plane, thriller, but with other animals. The start of October, Vietjet from Bangkok to Taipei descended into chaos after passengers went to the bathroom and came across a rodent with red eyes. Blimey, must have had some of the toilet water. Flight attendants searched the plane, found a box with otters, a marmoset, and 28 star tortoises that then got out and started crawling through the plane. A flight between two Mexican cities on October the 6th experienced a different type of swarm, and a cloud of mosquitoes got into the cabin and started buzzing through it as passengers sat waiting for the flight to depart. This week, a flight, the plane was full of mosquitoes. Journalist Juan Manuel Jimenez wrote in Spanish on the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Oh, it's Twitter, blimey. Silly name, X, honestly. The airline's response was, it's a situation beyond the control of the airline due to the amount of stagnant water in the surrounding areas. The mosquito population is large, they said. Flight VO 1221 was scheduled to leave from a pronouncing your name, it begins with G anyway, to Mexico City at 4:29 local with the low-cost airline Volaris. But according to flight tracking information, it departed and arrived more than 2 hours later than scheduled. Separate video of the flight shot by passenger Elizabeth Esmeralda Bernardez Corona, blimey, that's a name, shows a flight attendant moving through the cabin while spraying some sort of bug repellent, with abandon as or other travelers clap and yell bravo. Others are heard screaming as the flight attendant moves closer. Known formally as Concessionaria Vuela Compañía de Aviation, Volaris is a budget airline running flights between Mexico or within Mexico, as well as the country and some U.S. destinations.
Guadalajara was the word you were looking for.
Thank you there, Nev. I'm trying to think. I'm sure it was Oman that we flew back from, no, was it Mali? It might have been Mali, the Maldives, where the crew went through the cabin spraying like a spray, like a misty sort of spray in the air. And John says it's mandatory on some flights, but I remember that. But Nev, have you ever had any annoying bugs on a flight?
No, but I have been on a few flights where there is a mandatory spray. I forget where it was. I think Egypt, coming back from Egypt, I seem to recall, and one other.
I think if you fly back from Malaga, they do it so that everybody can top up their fake tan.
There you go.
Oh my. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, what's next? What are we going to see on a plane next? I mean, we've had everything. Some emotional support animals, mosquitoes.
In all seriousness, the video is a bit horrific if you've seen it. There's basically a big swarm and people are trying to swap
That's
them
that. I
away.
mean, mosquitoes is
It
probably
looks pretty nasty,
bad.
actually. I'm glad I wasn't on that plane.
Yeah, not the greatest thing to be had, mosquitoes. Anyway, moving on. Next story. Nev, you have got this one, and yeah, this is quite interesting.
It's on the chaviation.com, and it says the Curia of Hungary, the country's Supreme Court, has upheld an earlier decision of the Budapest Municipal Government Office, according to which Ryanair must pay a $545,000 fine due to an alleged violation of customer protection laws, the municipality said in a statement on October the 15th. An official consumer protection procedure the Budapest Municipal Government Office launched in April 2020 found that the low-cost carrier had failed to provide and inform passengers about the delay of a flight from Budapest to Gran Canaria on February the 18th of the same year, committing an unfair commercial practice. The government office underlines in its short statement that its task as a consumer protection authority is to protect passengers who have been treated unfairly by an airline. Ryanair did not immediately respond to a request for comment from CH Aviation. Ryanair has also been facing a separate consumer protection fine in Hungary for 300 million forint, which is their currency, or which is equivalent to $818,000 related to a departure tax the national government imposed last year. However, in early June 2023, a ruling by the Metropolitan Court of Budapest annulled this fine, confirming that the airline could lawfully pass the tax on to customers in line with European Union regulations, a judgment Ryanair welcomed. Well, they would.
Some pretty hefty fines.
So there you go. Don't mess with the Hungarian authauthorities.
Well, quite absolutely. They're not afraid to. They're not afraid to protect their interests.
Play by the rules. That's the other thing. So yes. But talking of Gran Canaria, I'm going there on my holidays on the 29th.
I can highly recommend it. I went to Maspalomas.
Mrs. Nev has been there, but I've not been to Gran Canaria before, so I'm really looking forward to that.
It'll be warm, Nev. You will need
with its 28 degrees.
Yes.
Celsius temperature, which
Sounds good.
You will need an awful lot. In your case, Nev, you'll need an awful lot of sunscreen. That would be my advice.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say, Matt?
No, we've
that
been
never
there before,
susceptible to
No,
this-
it's just.
I bet it won't be as hot as the air show we were at.
No, true.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Oh, blimey, that was hot. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
I bet.
scorcher.
Yeah, indeed.
Now, Matt, you've got the next story, but it's not good news.
Oh, is it not? Oh, dear. So it's the Financial Times is where we're going. The FT.com is the website. And the headline is Rolls-Royce to cut up to 2,500 jobs in a bid to streamline the group. Rolls-Royce will cut up to 2,500 jobs as part of a global restructuring by its new chief executive to streamline its operation and boost returns. The FTSE 100 company, whose engines power large civil aircraft as well as submarines and military jets, said that the revamp would lead to between 2,000 and 2,500 roles being lost from its workforce of 42,000, a cut of almost 6%. The plan will create a new procurement organisation in a bid to leverage the engineering group's scale and reduce costs. Back office functions such as human resources and finance will be brought together. Rolls-Royce is also centralising its activities, focusing on engineering, technology and safety. As part of the overhaul, Grazia Vittadini, who is the Chief Technology Officer who joined from Airbus in November 2021, will leave the group in April. The restructuring has been widely expected after Ergen Bilic, who became Chief Executive in January, promised to tackle years of underperformance at the company, which has been through multiple restructurings under successive leaders over the past decade. About half of Rolls-Royce's workforce is in the UK. The group employs 10,800 in Germany and 5,400 in the US. Ergen Bilic has moved quickly to make its mark on the 117-year-old company, which it described as a burning platform in an address to staff in January. He has also been highly critical of the way in which Rolls-Royce Power Systems business, which makes diesel and gas engines for ships and trains has been run. He told the Financial Times in May that this business had been grossly mismanaged with costs not kept under control. The oil industry veteran has shaken up Rolls-Royce's senior management, including the heads of its civil aerospace and defence businesses, cut spending on non-core projects and renegotiating some of its sales and maintenance contracts with customers. Sales have staged a significant recovery since the start of the year after a rebound in international air travel, as well as early results from the transformation program. I mean, I guess it was kind of inevitable that somebody was going to come in and sort of like gut it, especially post COVID. But I mean, I don't know, were things really that bad? Do we think?
Yeah, I'm just looking at how their kind of shares have gone and stuff in the last 6 months. Not too bad 6 months ago, but in the last month, things have started to drop down quite a lot with Rolls-Royce. So there's obviously something not quite good there at the moment. Well, as in, shares go up and down, but theirs have gone down, quite a lot over the last 6 months. If you have shares in Rolls-Royce, but it's a shame when you've got 2,500 staff and stuff like that who are, a lot of these guys and girls are all very qualified, engineers, I expect.
There's a lot of people in the UK, though, as they're saying predominantly. I wonder...
What was the engine they had the issue with, Nev? Was it Rolls-Royce or was it...
well, they had some Trent issues.
Was it a Trent? Yeah.
I forget which exact model it was. But the thing is that qualified engineers, graduate-type people and what have you, Rolls-Royce obviously offers a fantastic program for these sorts of people. But it's important to hang on to them as well. So clearly something's gone wrong with the financial side of things, because he says that in May that the business had been grossly mismanaged and not kept costs under control. It doesn't go into any more detail about that. So whatever that means. But unfortunately, you do need people to do things. And all this will result in, I would imagine, is they'll be doing the same job but with fewer people. So those people will be working harder, I would suggest.
Well, let's hope they can all find jobs.
Do you think some of it is, though, because obviously the only reason the spotlight, if you like, is on it is because of the post-COVID, and there was a very long period of time where people weren't buying planes, therefore they weren't buying engines and all that kind of thing. Is that, do you think, part of the reason why significant restructuring is having to take place, maybe?
And, you don't know what packages were offered to people for redundancy and this sort of thing in the past. So maybe that's had an effect on it. I don't know. But you're right. I mean, when there was a general downturn in output of everything industrial, really, this was, a big part of it.
Yeah.
So it's, quite significant, definitely.
Agreed.
So moving on to the next story, and with a big airline here. This is from airline or airlive.net, and Emirates A380 EK19 surrounded by emergency services upon landing at Manchester following a bomb threat. So following a bomb threat on an A380 that was held up on the runway at landing at Manchester, flight EK19 set off from Dubai Airport at 2:30 local time on Tuesday this week and arrived at Manchester Airport shortly after 7 p.m. As the plane landed, it was greeted by Greater Manchester Police and the fire service on the runway. Police confirmed the reason why the Emirates plane was swarmed by emergency services after landing at Manchester Airport, and the Greater Manchester Police confirmed they were made aware of an email claiming a suspicious package was on board the flight. A spokesperson from the Greater Manchester Police said at around 7:20 on the evening of the Tuesday the 17th, the Greater Manchester Police were made aware of an email claiming there was a suspicious package on the flight. The aircraft landed at Manchester Airport was held for further assessment. Searches and security checks were completed and no suspicious items were found. Passengers disembarked the aircraft with extra officers on hand to answer questions and offer visible reassurance. So other stories from airlinelive.net, and this was obviously several airports that were evacuated in France following bomb threats. These were Beauvais, Lille, Lyon, Nice, Nantes. I always pronounce that one incorrectly. Nantes, thank you. Yeah. Toulouse and Strasbourg. Passengers travelling back home after France's 4-1 win over Scotland in Lille on Tuesday evening were evacuated from the airport at around 10 a.m. on Wednesday, the 18th. And a statement from Lille Airport said that the airport was being evacuated following a bomb threat. State security services were on site. It's getting a bit of a sort of, same old thing going on here, phoning in and email. I mean, this is sort of the things you were hearing back in the 80s and earlier or mid 80s.
Well, yeah.
Late
The
80s.
trouble is, they've got to take it seriously, haven't they? That's the thing. And unfortunately, there's jokers and pranksters all around. But there's always, in any country, in any situation, you're going to get this kind of thing somewhere. I think, and it's a real pity because the disruption it causes is absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's not good. And the knock-on effect as well, Nev.
Yeah.
Through the course of a day, really. It's not funny. Not funny for us. Not funny for us passengers, especially if you're Nev. That's for sure.
Well, indeed, yes. Yeah. Could you tell Mrs. Stebbings to keep her voice down a bit as well? We can hear her. She's also...
That's not my end.
It's on the talkback. It's all right. It's only on the talkback, so we can ignore it. That's fine. It's
I'm in a closed studio. Don't pay.
Yeah.
Now, Matt, the next story you've got, and I could think of some rather interesting places to hide gold, but this is rather interesting.
Okay, right. Hello, it's all going wrong. Hang on, one moment, caller, please hold. There we go. Right, okay, so gold hidden in pasta making machine. Indigo passenger caught in Bangalore. Is it sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Sorry, Bengaluru. Oh, right, as it's written. Excellent. Okay, it's a shame, isn't it? I used to be good at this. Do you remember those days, guys? Yeah. As I say, simpleflying.com is the source. The story goes, gold is one of the most commonly seized items by customs officials at Indian airports. As risky as it is to smuggle the precious metal across international borders, passengers often devise newer ways to fool authorities. One such case was recently observed in Bengaluru, the airport where a passenger replaced some parts of a pasta making machine with gold rods. Given that we're reporting the story, the plan clearly did not work for the traveller. Indigo Flight 6 Echo 1486 is a daily scheduled service between Dubai International Airport. Dubai is featuring very highly today, and Bangalore International Airport. The roughly 3.5 hour flight lands early morning at around 3:30 in the morning, with passengers arriving at the newly opened Terminal 2. On October the 14th, officials at said airport observed a passenger who disembarked from the same flight acting slightly suspiciously. The 41-year-old male was soon intercepted by authorities, who found he had a history of travel to the Middle East. But travel history alone means very little. It was what the officials found in his bag that led to his arrest. According to the Times of India, the Air Intelligence Unit, the AIU, of Bangalore Airport went through the passengers' belongings, and a pasta making machine caught their attention. When the device was scanned, it was observed that someone had tampered with it. Oh, hello, me machine. Oh dear, I've lost all the stories. One moment. Okay.
Who's tampering with it?
I know. It's terrible, isn't it? When it was dismantled, officials found that the cylindrical parts of the machine that churn out the pasta dough were replaced with solid gold rods. In all, 5 rods with a total weight of 598 grams and valued at around a small 3.5 million. Now, what is that currency? Rubies. Rupees. Rubies. I don't know. I'm rubbish at this. I'm so sorry. Look, if I had my way, I wouldn't. Anyway, $42,000 is the number that we want to. Yeah, it would be pounds. Everything would be colonial. Absolutely.
It was a few quid, Matt. A few quid.
Indeed. $42,000 were recovered, essentially. It's now, I think there are some pictures on this. Let me just have a look and see where they are, because I'm pretty sure I downloaded. What story number is this? Remind me, someone? We're on story 5, so hopefully in here. Yeah, here we go. Look, we'll go to this. This is the route, obviously, that was being taken, and these are the items that were found inside. There you go. I mean, it's a very soft metal, so it's very bright.
You'd have been better off disguising them as sort of Sharpie pens, but just very posh Sharpie pens.
Right. Okay. I mean, yes. I don't think you have a.
I would be rubbish at smuggling.
You would. I don't think you have a career in smuggling ahead of you, Carlos. I think
unless it was aircraft parts. If I was pinching bits of the aircraft, it wouldn't be so bad. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, don't start doing that. Obviously. Yeah.
Next time I get on a plane, I'll be, oh, here he comes.
Needless to say, Carlos, John is furious with you. There we go.
Do you know, actually, just on that note, I did notice that.
Oh no! What have you bought now?
No, I haven't brought anything else.
Whatever.
It was a temptation. I saw that they were selling some rather nice tags from the Emirates A380 that they're currently cutting up at the moment. And they're making them really nice. They're actually doing it in a presentation box and everything, and they're limiting the amount to 380, which is quite cool.
Oh, I see what they did there. Yes, very good.
And I did see them on, and I thought, shall I get one? No, not at the price they're going for. I'll give that a miss. But anyway,
okay,
we have got a story about that.
Well, more on that later.
Oh, for goodness sake!
I know. I'll make do with blades and windows. That's fine. Anyway, Nev, Nev, the next story is all for you. And
on
this
abcnews.go.com, this one, and it says, good news for flyers who opt for the window seat. Your boarding zone will soon be prioritised on United Airlines. According to an internal memo from the Chicago-based carrier obtained by ABC News, starting on October the 26th, the airline will change its boarding process for economy class passengers that will speed up getting seated and situated by 2 minutes.
Ooh.
I'd
2
like
minutes.
to see that happen. WILMA boarding, which is a kind of acronym for window, middle, and aisle. Do you get it? Was tested at 4 domestic line stations. Seats economy window passengers first, followed by middle seats and aisle seats. Whilst this does not affect pre-boarding groups, premium cabins and flyers with Premier or Alliance status before Group 3, the revision ensures that window seats and exit rows are followed by middle in Group 4 and aisle passengers in Group 5 during the boarding process. Multiple customers in a same economy reservation will receive the same and highest applicable boarding group, excluding basic economy customers in boarding Group 6, the memo stated. According to United, this change comes at a time when there's a need for more efficiency, with the airline stating that boarding times have increased by up to 2 minutes in 2019. I wonder why that is, everybody. The change also comes ahead of the busy holiday travel season that has previously been fraught with delays, in which a speeding boarding process can be extremely helpful in ensuring on-time departures. What a load of old rubbish. Honestly.
I was so looking forward to hearing this.
Lufthansa, I don't know if they still board this way, and I've seen this happen before. It makes no difference whatsoever. People still dawdle around. They put the bags in the wrong places. How this can even begin to improve the situation, I do not know. And certainly, can you imagine BA trying this with all their we've got to check 30 bags in at the counter business. I said I was going to have a rant today, but I feel that I need to now because of what I've just read. And all the things I've just read out, I mean, talk about complicating the situation. Why is it so difficult? Why can't people board normally and at a sensible speed. Now, if you're disabled or you've got or you need to do it slowly, absolutely get all that, no problem at all. But the mucking about that goes on any aircraft I've ever been on, apart from an executive jet or a PA-28, has just been comedy. It really has. So good luck, everybody, with United. See how you get on with that. And I'd be interested to hear, perhaps from Brian Coleman, actually, although, of course, he doesn't fly in those groups we've mentioned. But dear, oh dear, it's too much.
Attention is the final call for British Airways Flight 475. Paging for passenger Mr. Neville Bounds. Your seat 1A is waiting for you.
There we go, and that concludes this week's episode.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to read that story, but
Sorry, Nev.
there we are.
I thought you'd like that one.
Yeah. Fanar. So John is saying that Mythbusters did a test on this.
I think I saw that episode. Yeah.
222, episode 222 back in 2014, apparently. The Mythbusters episode, apparently, if you want to look it up.
Well, it's made no difference, is it? I mean, how many years ago was that? I mean, it's just mad, absolutely mad. And I think the problem is that the final paragraph says it all for me, where they say, in which a speedy boarding process can be extremely helpful in ensuring on-time departures. Yes, don't do it like that.
Indeed.
It doesn't say that. That was my...
And in a few weeks' time, Nev will not be flying with United.
No, indeed. And John is saying apparently that... sorry, say that again, John. I missed that. No. The random seating is apparently the fastest way in order to get boarding done. Random seating, basically. Because
Well, I shan't be doing any flying when that happens.
okay, right.
I shall have retired from the flying business.
Retired. Okay. Well, there we go. That is good news. The news, unexpected news from the hot seat of Seat 1A.
Yes.
There we go. Okay. All right.
And Matt, you have got the next story on the show this week. And
I upset someone this week.
well, you don't have to. You can give it to Nick. You can pass the baton to Nick if you want.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
We'll take a look at this one then. Independent.
But you're going to say traffic and travel then?
Yes, indeed. Similar. It's I haven't got that bed to hand, otherwise I'd throw that on. Independent.co.uk travel sponsor. Yeah. No. Anyway. The UK's busiest airport terminals has been revealed by Nev's favourite journalist, Simon Calder. That's exciting, isn't it? Heathrow Terminal 5 handles more passengers than any other terminal in the UK, even when busy single terminal airports are included. In September, an average of 100,000 passengers arrived or departed each day from Terminal 5, which is the main hub for British Airways. For the first time, the UK's busiest airport terminals are ranked in a single table by the number of passengers handled in September. The ranking is intended to prepare travellers for the next level of activity they can expect. The top 7 terminals all belong to airports serving London. Passengers at the UK's busiest airport, who agrees with Jean-Paul Sartre's mantra that hell is other people. Wow. Could choose London Heathrow's Terminal 4, which handles only a quarter of the traffic of Terminal 5. Heathrow is by far the largest airport in the UK, but T5 is the only one of its terminals that makes the top 4. London Stansted Airport, which is the busiest single terminal airport in the UK, is just behind Heathrow Terminal 5 in second place. A spokesperson for Stansted said that the UK's busiest single terminal airport, we work extremely hard with all our partners to deliver the best possible airport experience to the 27 million passengers who use us each year, so that they can enjoy the choice, value and ease of use we offer. We also have plans to extend our terminal building to further enhance the airport user experience by creating a more spacious environment and accommodating the introduction of the latest security technology. The base for most EasyJet flights The numbers in September were slightly reduced from the expected figures due to staff shortages in the Gatwick Control Tower. The two terminals in Heathrow's central area, T3 and T2, are neck and neck for the 5th and 6th places. Luton Airport, which suffered a serious car park fire last week, takes 7th place. Edinburgh, Scotland's busiest airport, is 8th. Manchester Airport is the 3rd busiest in the UK after Heathrow and Gatwick, yet its busiest terminal, T1, makes only 9th place in the terminal. It is one of a cluster of terminals, including Manchester, T2, Bristol and Birmingham, which handled just over 1 million passengers in September. The remaining places are taken by Glasgow Heathrow Terminal 4, Manchester Terminal 3 and Belfast International. Rob Burgess, who is the editor of the frequent flyer website headforpoints.com, said Heathrow Terminal 4 is indeed a surreal experience, a good reason for considering Qatar Airways or Etihad over Emirates, which fly out of T3 for a long-haul experience, or even KLM or Air France with a connection. The presence of high-spending Middle Eastern passengers means that the shopping is also better than you would expect. Your best bet for a quiet life is London Southend. If you are travelling to one of the few places that is served from the airport, you probably can't beat Southend for space per square foot per passenger, and it has its own railway station and direct services from London Liverpool Street. Figures for the passenger arrivals and departures in September 2023 are here in millions. So we'll start at the bottom then. Belfast International had 0.55, Manchester Terminal 3 had 0.7 million, Heathrow Terminal 4 had 0.75, Glasgow 0.8 million, Birmingham 1.02, Bristol 1.03, Manchester T2 or Terminal 2 1.05 million, Manchester Terminal 1 1.08 million, Edinburgh 1.39 million. And that seems like quite a lot, Nev. I know you've flown out of there quite a lot, Edinburgh. I mean, that seems like quite a low number. I thought that'd be a bit higher.
Yeah, funny actually. It's quite busy actually. Every time I've been there recently, that's for sure. But
yeah.
That's what they say. So,
Indeed. After sort of further up the list, we go to Luton, apart from probably a couple of days last week where it was practically abandoned. 1.51 million for that one. Heathrow Terminal 2, 1.63 million. Heathrow Terminal 3, 1.66 million. Gatwick South, 1.9 million. The Gatwick North, 2.18 million. Stansted, 2.62. And Terminal 5 at Heathrow, 3 million passengers. Those are big numbers, aren't they? They are definitely big numbers.
I like how Stansted dipped in there above Gatwick.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm not that surprised actually, because I think it's I think it's a very, very busy. Stansted, I think, does quite well for the volume of people that go.
But how big it is, the airport does very well.
I mean, if an airport terminal needed some, some expansion, I would absolutely say that Stansted is one that needed, if only for the security area, because it is.
Have you flown from Stansted before, Nev?
Yes, a couple of times.
Yeah, under duress, no doubt.
In the past, just before I saw the light. I mean, it is about 75 miles drive for me, so that's a bit of a slog. But I must say, when I have been from there, it's been quite efficient and really good, actually. Yeah.
It'd be good for when you do your Ryanair flight.
It'd be the only place to go if you're going.
Absolutely. Mazouz is asking in the chat room, how does London Cardiff fare?
Oh,
as well as London Norwich.
London Norwich.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you need people to get it. I'll stop talking.
Anyway, moving on. I alluded to this story earlier on, but this is great. Honestly, if you get the chance to look at the website, you need to go and take a look because they are very special indeed. This is from Forbes.com, and you can own your very own piece of Emirates Airlines' very first A380. With the holiday season coming, it's soon be Christmas time. What better way to gift your favourite AvGeek, but with a piece of their favourite A380. The aluminium tag was made from the Great Plane, all boxed up and authenticated, and the aircraft skin tag is made from the recycled materials of a special plane indeed. It's Alpha 6 Echo Delta Alpha, the very first A380 delivered to Emirates back in 2008. Blimey, that's a few years ago. You could use the tag with the name of your favourite A380 destination airport to mark your own luggage, but most will sit on the shelves or the desks to admire, which they do, very much so. There's a certain mystique about the 380, the largest passenger airline ever built. The A380 is the only passenger airline with the double deck, obviously, and its maximum capacity can hold up to, blimey, this has always freaked me out, 853 passengers. Most airlines operate it with seating for only around about 500, but it still requires special airport bridges and a crew of 21. The aircraft has 4 Rolls-Royce engines generating 70,000 pounds of thrust each, helping to get its £1 million of takeoff weight, or 560 tons, off the ground. That fuel comes in handy on long flights like Dresden, Germany to Sydney, Australia, a matter of 8,600 nautical miles. So the A6 Echo Delta Alpha pioneered the process. Emirates A380, of its completion of 6,319 flights. It visited 62 destinations, carried over 2.1 million passengers, and flew a total of 55,865 flight hours, more than 6.5 years in the air. When the plane was retired back in April 2020, it was recycled by Vulcan Aircraft Recycling at Al Maktoum International Airport in Dubai. The scrapping process was completed back in 2021. While significant parts were cannibalized for other aircraft, most metals, plastics were recycled. Part of the aircraft skin was cut away and laser etched with the name of one of its 62 destinations. On sale on the Aviation Tag website for €59.95 or $64.40. The metal tags are available in 62 different versions, one for each of the world's airports that the Alpha 6 Echo Delta Alpha flew to. Each tag lists the date of the plane's first landing at that airport and the number of times it flew there. So a tag for Sao Paulo indicates its first landing there back in September 2017, and that aircraft made 4 GRU landings. All the tags say Emirates first A380 on them, and each tag comes in a box with a certificate of authenticity issued by Emirates. So if you're thinking of getting your loved one a special gift for Christmas, just looking to see whether Gemma's listening or not. Can't see her.
Of course she's not listening. She's not bored.
I shall get John, producer John, to cut this piece of the show into an audio bite so I can send it to her later. Anyway, you can get yourself one of these glorious tags. But these are great. I saw these when they first done the promo for these online, and I wouldn't be surprised at all whether these sell out reasonably fast, I think. Especially for the fact they're in a presentation case and everything, and you can choose a destination tag of your choice as well, which is quite interesting. What do you think, Nick? Would you have one?
I mean, yeah, I'm always up for a bit of a
so I mean,
nice little bit of memorabilia. It's always fun to have, isn't it?
See, Carlos, you think that like the €59.95 is a bit much? Is that why you're saying? I mean, what?
For the tag, that's not too bad, Matt. The problem is, and you know where I'm going to go with this, is when it's shipped to the UK.
Right. Okay. But I mean, that's not the people who've. That's not their fault. If you see what.
No, that's not the tag. No, that's just blooming the B word and all that other stuff. You know.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Right. But
no. I mean, for something, I suppose, of that heritage, I think, you know, if you did fancy treating yourself, it's not bad to have that hanging on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, certainly, let me pop the picture up again because I think it's a really lovely.
It does look
lovely
lovely,
thing,
doesn't it?
and I love the little presentation box and everything. And you know, I'm not a big fan of aviation and all that kind of thing, but for me, this one, I mean, I'd love to have one which had Dubai on it, for example, obviously, because you know I know people who live there, and you know, would it have? Apparently Dubai is not one of them. Oh, that's a bit rubbish. I suppose because that's where it's originated from, isn't it? I guess so. It'd be nice to have one with Stansted on it, then. I guess
It'd be good. I'm just reading in the chat room, and
this one didn't go to Stansted.
Don't you dare have a go at me. There's someone in the chat room called Richard who apparently has got around 70 tags in his collection so far.
Love that. We need a picture of that, please, Richard. We need a picture of that, please. I want to see them all beautifully laid out so that we can admire them.
That makes my 8 tags.
No,
comparison.
no, absolutely not. Because the problem is you're not collecting just tags, Carlos. You're collecting aircraft. That's what you're doing. You're building one slowly over many years. That's what you're doing.
I'm just waiting for that day when we go live and we look at Nev's video, and he's got this huge section of a BA 777 or something.
I don't think that'll happen because he's not stupid.
Oh, he would.
I don't know.
He might say he wouldn't, but secretly he would. Wouldn't you, Nev? Go on, admit it.
It's possible. It is possible.
Really? Well, there we go. I had you down as far too sensible for that sort of thing. But no, I was
going to say, talking of sensible.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Oh dear.
Nev, would you like to take this last
very difficult story and has the potential for comedy and muttly wheezing noises.
Oh dear.
But we'll see how we get on. It's on the metro.co.uk, and it says the headline is EasyJet flight to Gatwick cancelled after passenger pooed on the toilet floor.
What?
Imagine waiting for a flight home which is already delayed, but I knew it's going to be difficult, but ends up being cancelled because someone defecated on the toilet floor. This is exactly what happened to furious passengers who were left stranded in Tenerife on their Sunday night EasyJet flight back to London Gatwick. Flight EZY 8054 was scheduled to depart at 8:05 and arrive in London at 20 past midnight. Video footage shows toilet paper littered across the flight's walkway as the pilot, because there's only one pilot, as we know, on the plane, explained why the flight had been cancelled. He said, "Rather entertaining to defecate the front toilet, so now we're staying the night here. We're now going to get everybody off and organise hotels, and then we'll fly back tomorrow morning." But EasyJet admitted it was unable to find hotel rooms in the area, forcing customers to sort out their own last-minute accommodation for the flight. A passenger who did not wish to be named told female customers that they were moved to a smaller plane before the cancellation and were offered £500 if they wanted to leave. They said no one took it, so they had to remove 10 people from the aircraft, which caused lots of arguing, and that literally took 2 hours. But the announcement that the flight was cancelled was made by the pilot. But then once they got those 10 people off, the plane was heavy because we were at full capacity. So then they were randomly putting our luggage on other people's flights to Gatwick, and that took hours again. Something's not quite right about this story, I don't think. However, back to the main meat of the situation, as it were.
Oh, dear.
In reference to the toilet situation, the passenger said the whole incident was handled really poorly because it could have genuinely been an accident. We had loads of issues with our flights, so someone could have literally just accidentally themselves.
Yes.
In a statement on EasyJet's website, the airline said, due to extremely high demand, unfortunately, we're unable to find hotel rooms in the area. If you need a hotel room and are able to make your own arrangements, we'll refund the cost of a reasonably priced room, meals and travel costs to and from your hotel. In this case, we ask you to look for accommodation which is about 3 stars or equivalent. After revealing the new flight details, EasyJet added, "Once again, we're very sorry for the disruption to your travel plans." But passengers said that they were left on the flight with 0 communication before it was cancelled. A spokesman for EasyJet said, EasyJet can confirm that flight EZY 8054 from Tenerife to London Gatwick on Sunday evening was delayed due to the aircraft requiring additional cleaning. We did all possible to minimise the impact of the disruption for our customers, providing hotel accommodation and meals, and the flight departed yesterday afternoon. The safety and well-being of our customers and crew is EasyJet's highest priority. And whilst this was outside of our control, we would like to apologise to customers for the inconvenience caused. Well,
there's a lot of inconsistencies in this story for a start.
There is. And also, now, I do concede that having this situation happen on the toilet floor is suboptimal. No two ways about that. But it doesn't go into any detail as to how bad it was. I mean, it might have just been a single item, perhaps, which could have been dealt with quickly. Or was it more, substantial?
Substantial, yeah. I mean, but I don't know. As you say, I guess I feel like we're missing large chunks of useful information here, because it's like it's. I mean, I ran a pub for many years. I mean, that wouldn't faze me. And if it was just because they were waiting for someone to volunteer to clear it up, then it would just be like, I don't know. I'm surprised that this incident was enough for the plane to be grounded overnight. Does that make sense? Yeah, they're saying. I mean, John's saying it could be because they had cleaners available, but. Do you really need a cleaner? I mean, can somebody not do it? Oh, okay. Biohazards and things, I'm being told in my ear. Okay, all right, fair enough. But I don't know. It's like.
Well, I've had meals on aircraft that are biohazards.
Well, quite. Yes,
but there we go. So,
absolutely.
Yes, not ideal, of course, but there are definitely some gaps in that story.
Agreed.
I think,
indeed,
somewhere.
significant gaps somewhere along the line, I think.
There we are.
But, there we go. Never mind. Well done, Nev. You got through it. Despite everyone's best efforts to trip you up by the sound of it. But, so we're going to go on to our next story now, because I think, okay. I will try and... okay. I'm being told that I've got to go to the notes. I'm trying to go to the bottom here. I don't know. It's. I'll tell you what. As I say, it's only a few paragraphs. I'll go through it fairly quickly. I'm sure. I'll
Not me.
I'll speed read.
Speed read.
Here we go. It's
what she said.
Indeed. Okay. So Amazon pledges parcels in an hour using drone deliveries. The online retail giant said that the service would start in one location, which is yet to be revealed, at the end of 2024. The company already offers drone deliveries in 2 US states for goods weighing no more than £5 or 2.2 kilograms. The aviation regulator has said exploring how drones could be safely used in more of the UK's airspace was key. Amazon said that it was working closely with the Civil Aviation Authority to meet regulations, while the government said the move would help understand how best to use the technology safely and securely. The first area in the UK for deliveries by air will be named in the coming months. The company currently has drone postage in California and Texas, and is also looking to launch the so-called ultra-fast deliveries in a third US state and in Italy as well. Customers who want the option of a drone delivery need to be approved. The drone requires plenty of clear space to drop a parcel around about 12 feet on the ground. But in the UK, Amazon plans to use markerless delivery and enable enable the drones to pinpoint drop points using GPS. America has some of the toughest aviation regulations in the world. At the launch site, the flight path of every delivery is monitored on a screen, and there is a pair of human eyes watching from a cherry picker too. What? Okay. This flying robot has onboard sensors to avoid any obstacles in its path and sounds like a lawnmower when it's hovering above the ground. As it looks to take off in the UK, Amazon... See what I did there. Amazon has unveiled a new, smaller and quieter MK30 drone, which can work in light rain and wind and fly as far as 12 kilometres to make a delivery. However, a decade on since Amazon's founder Jeff Bezos first announced drone deliveries, progress has not been quick. Amazon has not revealed how many customers are opting to get their orders by air, currently claiming only that thousands of deliveries had been made from its 2 sites. It's a fascinating story. I say a lot to unpack there. As someone,
Mazouz makes a very nice comment.
Go on, yes, and what's that?
He says clay pigeon shooting is about to become much more popular.
Well, this is another situation of a problem. Sorry, a solution looking for a problem. Basically,
quite,
isn't it?
yes.
I don't even begin to understand the purpose of this whatsoever. Can you imagine cats and dogs and other things being seriously put off and distracted by these things buzzing around over their heads and dropping parcels? I mean, I obviously will stand corrected if this turns out to be the most successful thing ever, but I can't even begin to understand the purpose of it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
It
Nev.
seems to work perfectly okay with the Amazon van, the transit van that turns up.
That drives up to your house.
Yes.
Every day or so, works a
The example in the story was a gentleman that was buying some hand soap.
As you do.
Which apparently he needed in quite a hurry. So he must have had some sort of hand soap emergency. The interesting point in the story was that in that particular case in the USA, the drone must at all times remain within sight of a human.
You think, well, why doesn't the human just drive the van and take it to them?
or that perhaps the customer might like to go to the shop at the end of his road and buy his hand soap.
Yes, I understand where you're coming from with that one, Nick, but I'm afraid I am that person who now no longer goes to shops.
Another classic.
Don't get me wrong, I think it's really cool, and I think it's a really cool thing, and I really like the technology and the innovation, but yeah, I think as Nev says, is this a solution to a question that nobody's asked?
Good comment from Mazouz in the chat room. He says that this fella looking for, assuming it was a fella looking for the soap in emergency, was the EasyJet cleaner.
Quite. see what he did there. Very good.
That was very naughty of you, Mazouz, but it was very funny.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Loved it. Yes. Here we go then. Well,
good evening to Paul, who's joined us in the chat room as well. Hello to you. He's just joined us, local listener. Oh,
yes. While we're on the subject of the chat room, Richard has very kindly sent us some pictures of the collection. Here we go. So this is some of the collection. This is, I was one of 5 pictures, I have to be honest. Oh my goodness me. Loving this look.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Got little all the tags and stuff around the outside. I really like that. That's a nice touch, isn't it? Where you've got the tags all the way around the outside and then little models on the little glass shelves in between. He said trying to describe it to those who are listening via
the audio show.
The audio version of the show. That is one impressive collection, isn't it? I think so. Anyway,
that's
loving
gorgeous.
That is an utterly awesome.
I'm loving the orange tag there at the back of that shelf.
Bloomin' L1011. Oh
yes.
My God.
That man's got some taste. And if you go and the 2 tags to the right, there's another fantastic tag there.
What, 7.5?
Yes.
The plane that tried to kill me. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh.
Indeed. There we go. And. Indeed, yes.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, you've got to have some grey stuff, I suppose, on the top shelf there. He's got the A10 on there, and so he's got a lot. That's very nice.
A fabulous
Very
collection
nice.
of tags, absolutely. I presume Richard's going to try and add an Emirates one into the mix.
Oh,
there, I
Nev,
suspect. Yeah.
if you look on that shelf, Nev, at that BA, it's the one. Do you remember when BA done those tail arts? You know, with
Oh
the,
yes,
yes.
not
Yeah.
popular with everybody, including the former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, who was not happy with that at all. I must say, it wasn't one of my favourite things that BA ever did, to be honest with you. But no, what a superb collection.
Really
very,
is.
very good indeed. Thank you for sending those in. Now, what's up next, guys?
So I think what we're going to do, we were sent in a little promo to send. I don't know a lot about
Yes,
it. It's 55.
well, Shall I tell you? about
Please, yes, that would be fabulous.
It's not 55 minutes, don't worry. It's only
55 seconds, sorry. I'm
but,
having a problem with exaggerating everything I say at the moment. aren't
yes,
I?
there's been a lot of that this afternoon, I've noticed. Now, you'll know our chums, Brian Coleman and Micah, and they do, or Brian does his own podcast these days as well. They've got a meetup planned, actually, in the US, in Tampa, I think. And I was talking to Brian and Micah this week, and they said, would we mind promoting it on our podcast? And I said, absolutely we can. And Matt's going to play it out now.
Hello, Matt, Carlos, Nev, Armando, Nick, and John. This is your Uncle Micah. Yeah, you probably know me from the Airplane Geeks, but I'm speaking to you now with our good friend Pasadena Brian Coleman from the Journey is Reward podcast. And we're having a meetup.
We are meeting in Largo, Florida, Sunday, November 12th at 4 p.m. at your pizza shop.
And that's at 1200 8th Avenue in Largo, Florida. And Largo is a suburb of Tampa, Florida. So I know you guys over in the UK and all around Asia and Europe and wherever probably aren't going to make it, but you're invited. But anybody in the US and the Florida area, come by and join us, and let's have a meetup. Let's have some pizza, and let's talk airplanes.
Oh, and don't forget the beer. They have a really good beer selection there as well.
Would we go any place that didn't have it?
Good point. So come on out for the meetup. We'd love to see you all.
So if you're in that neck of the woods, go and see the fellas and have some pizza and beer. Sounds tremendous.
Always good to have a little meet up.
Yeah.
Now it's the time of the show where it's all about the caption this, the picture we pop up on our Facebook page on a Wednesday for you to leave your comments on. It's safe to say this week definitely sparked some comments. The Facebook went mental when I put this picture up on there, and it was actually a military kind of style picture on the caption this week. And Matt, I don't know if you could pop that up on the screen for those watching in the YouTube world. And this week's picture is that of it's a Jaguar military jet, which is, what would you say, Nev? It's having a
Inverted, it was the word I would use.
yes, it's kind of basking in the sun.
That's a word.
Yeah. Yes.
But
So we
yes,
had
it was
loads.
a very, very popular competition this week. Caption this week, wasn't it?
Yes. Kicking off this week, we had Leanne said, and now for my party trick.
Ray Davis says, after a hard day's flying, it's time to take a break, then lay back and put my feet up.
Rob, for a good friend, Rob Mark says, time for a belly rub.
Oh. Like
James says, I seem to have forgotten which side is supposed to be up. Is this right?
Matt, do you want this one? You
yeah,
like this one, Matt?
Yeah, Stephen Amos is saying that'll buff right out.
That's a classic. It's a classic.
I think we can apply that to virtually every caption this we've ever done. Yeah.
And Nev?
James, another one from James. A landing is a landing. I walked away, didn't I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick,
yeah.
do you want this one?
Next one's from Matthew Frame. I got thrown around as a airplane I now associate as a dog. Could you please rub my tummy? I've an itch.
Lovely. That's what we like to hear.
Mark says, I like this one, especially for Grant and Steve. Australian pilot doing the Down Under.
As you do. Bill is saying David Attenborough's voiceover. I guess that disproves the theory that a big cat, like a jaguar, always lands on its feet.
That was very good, Matt.
Thank you very much. I've been working on it all day.
Nev, what's our good friend Stephen Ivy saying?
Stephen says when one more turns into 10 more.
Oh.
By the way, that's impression, Matt. I thought it sounded more like Alan Wicker, actually.
All right, okay. Sorry. Everyone's a critic, aren't they? Honestly.
While you're there, Matt, you can take our good friend Captain Nick's one.
Mr. Anderson saying, roll left, terrain, pull up. Too late.
Nev.
Michael says it had happened it had all happened so quickly, but Wing Commander already knew that pulling the eject handle wasn't the answer.
Oh, blimey, not in that situation.
No, quite. Can
you imagine?
Give you a headache, I think.
Another one for Steve and Grant. Plane Crazy Down Under, Australian's aviation show, visiting again and forgetting to adjust hemispheres.
I see. Right. Okay. Richard King is saying the literal meaning of a gear up landing.
And Ian Edwards says, it's dead, Jim.
That'll be Star Trek then. Yes, all right, calm down. Some guy called Nicholas Codling, never heard of him. Go home, Jaguar, you're drunk. I quite like that.
Go on, Nev, take our very own Mr. Warner's.
And Jonathan says, during deployment to Williamtown, Captain Nick decided to make the visitors feel at home by placing their Jags the right way up.
Quite absolutely. John, if you could go back to the previous chat room one there, and we'll whack our way through those very quickly, or not. I don't know. No, okay, all right. Well, we'll just stick with that one then. Dirk S says, "Damn, this wasn't a sim."
I'll tell you what. That is quite a good one. I do like that one.
It is. He's saying, I was sensing a strong down under theme across the comments on that pic, he was saying. Mazouz is saying, practicing for synchronised swimming. It's always the way forward. Mark Priestley is saying, is it French? It is French being a cat. It likes its belly rub. That's fair. Yeah. I think we all like that, if we're honest. Captain Ridiculous Wits is saying, I said glass cockpit, not grass cockpit.
I like Mark's one here. Landing gear not required. It's to be used as a gate guard. Well, that's true. I mean, that'll be a good gate guard.
That'll do the job. Yeah. Needless to say, the little Richard E. Flag is saying French Air Force used to parking in Paris. You see, apparently that's
blimey, yeah. Well, thank you to everyone who's contributed again this week to our caption list. Loads of people on there and on Facebook as well. We'll be popping another picture hopefully up next Wednesday on our socials, so keep your eyes on there and bring us more of your witty comments. Yes.
Indeed.
Right, so moving on with the next part of the show then, which is of course the part which normally is introduced by our very own Armando, but he's not here. But he's got some great stuff for us anyway. So Matt, for Armando, hit the button.
What's up, Bogies 13550, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 100 St. Bogies.
Hey team, as you guys can imagine, there's a lot going on in the Middle East right now. We're not going to try to track any of those events real time. Also in an effort to stay politically neutral, we're just not going to cover any one particular side or not. Since this is an entertainment podcast, we'll just approach it from a military aviation standpoint and some updates there, but certainly not going to be any kind of real-time updates about the situation going on there. I know just this week there were some significant deployments. There were some F-15s from RAF Lakenheath right there in East Anglia that deployed alongside some F-16s, some A-10s from Germany to forward position in the Eastern Mediterranean. Another big development this week was that the U.S. Navy has announced that they're going to have 2 carrier strike groups in the region, with the USS Eisenhower joining the USS Ford. Now, each of those aircraft carriers can carry 60 aircraft. I think the Eisenhower can actually carry up to 75 aircraft. So as you can imagine, that's a lot of air power that's going on into the region there. We'll keep an eye out on the situation. Obviously, it's rapidly evolving. Again, we're not going to try to cover it real time, but for the sake of entertainment, we'll at least try to just cover some of the military aviation aspects from all sides. But either way, Carlos has his first story coming up, and I'll join you here in a little bit.
Yes, the first story from warbirdsnews.com. And this story, I saw this pop up on X, or Twitter, what it's supposed to be called, this week. And it sparked quite a lot of, well, how should I put this? Harsh words between various people on there. But a fundraising campaign has been launched on the 16th anniversary of Vulcan XH558's triumphant return to flight. I know Mr. Warner's in the chat room, so it'll be interesting to hear his thoughts on this. Fundraising campaign to launch, as I said, on the 16th anniversary of this. Thousands of people have become a part of the history of XH558, the last airworthy Avro Vulcan, by having their names added beneath her Delta wing. To mark the 16th anniversary of XH558 returning to flight, Vulcan to the Sky is offering supporters a chance to have the name added to the iconic aircraft under the bomb bay doors. Aviation enthusiasts can celebrate the second display career and have your name placed under the doors, and the Vulcan to the Sky has been working closely with the current owners of the airport where it's currently based and partners on a plan that will hopefully see XH558 remain in Doncaster. They're keen to provide improved access to the aircraft for their supporters, and Mark Walters, Chief Executive of VTST, said, we know how much it means to supporters to have their names on the aircraft and become a part of history. Thousands of people have already shown their support and had their name or that of a loved one placed under the wings of this iconic aircraft. October also holds great significance for Vulcan XH558, because on October the 18th, 2007, she took her first position restoration, or post-restoration flight. And on October the 28th, 2015, she performed her last flight, making this the final ever flight of an Avro Vulcan. To mark the significant moments in her career, they are offering supporters the opportunity to have their name on the aircraft to give them a permanent connection to this remarkable and historically important aircraft. They said, we know that our supporters want to see the aircraft and people love to visit and see their names on the aircraft as well. They also said that we know that we are working closely with the airport's owners to plan and hope that we will see XH558 remain in Doncaster with increased access for their supporters via a series of open days next year in 2024. Given the current uncertainty around the future ownership of the site, they are conscious that any agreement may be temporary, but will remain hopeful that an agreement that is suitable for both parties can be agreed. Now, we've been lucky in the years we've been doing this show. We were able to, on a few occasions, go to Duxford, I think, was one of the ones. Riyadh was another one that I saw her there. And I think we saw her as well. I think she was at Farnborough one year. But, you know, it's a hell of an aircraft to see flying, that's for sure. And it was a sad day when they obviously took her out of her flying, career as such. But I know there was a lot of people who were upset by, the amount of money that was ploughed into this initially. And she's obviously, from what I did hear, she was, seen to be looking a bit of a sorry state at one point a few years back. But it'd be good to see this aircraft flying again, but whether it will or not, I don't think it probably will. But Mark Priestley said in the chat room, he says, this aircraft kept us safe all these years, and many aircrew risked their lives on many sorties. We owe them our support. I think we owe the aircraft our support. Definitely that is. It would be great to see this aircraft fly again, and as we said, it'd be good if it could stay where it is currently over there at Doncaster. But yeah, a shame that. But fingers crossed. It will look as good as it does in that picture. That picture looks awesome there, taken by John Dibbs of the aircraft. Very nice indeed. Don't forget as well, if you want to see one of these aircraft up close and personal and you are in the Norwich area, we've got one here in our lovely city of Norwich at the Aviation Museum, which you can actually go on board and go on the flight deck, which is quite good.
Indeed.
So next story is from our very own Armando, and this is all about the homegrown KF-21.
Hey, this next military story is kind of an interesting one. It's a homegrown fighter jet from Korea. The KF-21 makes a public debut at the Seoul Defense Exhibition. Now, South Korea's homegrown fighter did debut this last Monday ahead of an international defense exhibition that was took place at the Seoul Air Base this entire week. The KF-21, we've talked about it on the show. It was developed by Korea Aerospace Industries, or KAI. Now, they staged an aerial demonstration at the Seoul Air Base in Songnam, just south of Seoul, during a press event for the Seoul International Aerospace and Defense Exhibition 2023, which opened this last Tuesday for a 6-day event. Now, there was also some advanced U.S. military aircraft, including the F-22, some carrier-based electronic warfare aircraft like the EA-18 Growler. Those were all on display at the bases, at the military base. Now, during the exhibition, there was also a U.S. B-52 that was took place in 2 flyovers as part of a larger sort of cross-section of U.S. military aircraft, providing some static displays, some flyovers, aerial demonstrations, according to the U.S. forces in Korea. Now, this year's event has been the largest one since 1996. It's supposed to involve over 550 companies from 35 different countries, according to the organizers of the event. And, of course, South Korean companies plan to showcase their latest weapon systems and technologies in order to boost some defense exports following this big export deal that they just publicized with Poland. Now, last year, South Korea's arms exports hit a record high of 17.9 billion US dollars. That's according to Morgan Stanley, as it signed those major contracts with Poland to provide some tanks, some self-propelled howitzers, and of course the FA-50 light attack aircraft, and some multiple rocket launcher vehicles. Now, the South Korean Defense Ministry has unveiled this goal to carve out at least a 5% share in the global arms export market by 2027, and they're aiming to become the world's 4th largest defense exporter. So this is a pretty significant, again, I think Matt said it a couple months ago now, where there seems to be a pretty big monopoly as far as military equipment goes between some of our Western countries. So getting somebody else in there that's producing some, aircraft as well as some other weapon systems, ground and potentially even space-based weapon systems, is important for competition and, if nothing else, advancements in innovation.
Thank you, Armando, for that. And there's some rather interesting figures in there. I like that one that says 22.9 trillion. I mean, it's not million.
It's a big number, isn't it?
It's not even a billion. It's a trillion.
It's a very silly number, isn't it?
God, blimey.
It almost seems unbelievable, doesn't it? It's.
I know. These countries have got some serious money to spend on things. One. Yeah, but that's still... John says it's only a trillion one, but that is...
It's still a big number. Yeah.
Still big numbers. Numbers. Armando's got the next story, and this one is coming to us all about the US Coast Guard and their new HC-27J.
This next military story should be of particular interest to Matt, because when Matt and I took the 206 up to West Point, Virginia, that's just north of Norfolk there in Virginia, we actually saw a C-27 Spartan that was actually just kind of sitting on the ramp. What it was doing there, we have no idea. But this story is about the U.S. Coast Guard expanding the capabilities of what they're calling the HC-27J. They're calling it a medium-range surveillance aircraft. And there's this new development called the Minotaur mission system architecture that's developed by the U.S. Navy. Now, the U.S. Coast Guard began operating this aircraft last month and testing this missionized configuration of this HC-27J aircraft. The prototype is a former U.S. Air Force aircraft, and it took off from Naval Air Station Patuxent River in Maryland. That was on September 6th of 2023 for its first functional test flight, tailored to kind of exercise the program's safety of flight and safety of test systems, prior to fully proceeding into the flight phase, which is it's now going into. Now, the U.S. Coast Guard worked with Naval Air Systems Command's Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division and a commercial provider, Leonardo, to enhance its fixed-wing surveillance aircraft fleet with improved capabilities to gather, process, transmit information during some maritime patrol and, of course, aircraft joint operations, which is kind of the buzzword for all the Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security. Now, the U.S. Coast Guard is missionizing 14 of these C-27 Spartan aircraft that were originally transferred from the U.S. Air Force under the National Defense Authorization Act of 2014. They were originally delivered after being regenerated from a preserved status at the Boneyard, what we call the Boneyard at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. These particular C-27s were outfitted with weather radars, communications equipment capable of supporting transport, other Coast Guard missions. And as you guys probably know, the Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard, is already operating the CASA 235 and 295s, I believe now. The C-27 is a very similar platform to that. It's just kind of made by a different manufacturer. But as far as the twin-engine turboprop high wing concept with a ramp and door, has a lot of the same capabilities as the CASA. So from a tactics, techniques, and procedure standpoint, really shouldn't be too much of a change for the U.S. Coast Guard. And they should be able to employ these aircraft fairly quickly with their new mission systems and into the U.S. Coast Guard mission set.
This takes recycling to a whole new level, doesn't it? When you can go to a boneyard, say, and to get these aircraft and repurpose them for this particular cause, which obviously is a great cause, U.S. Coast Guard. But it's good when they can when they can do this and get these aircraft, which potentially may have sat there, for some time, or may have sat there for many years, but to use them and to get them to do missions like this with the Coast Guard, I think is a really good idea, rather than letting them all, sit in a boneyard or potentially go and become tags on Richard's wall. Yeah. Yeah, John says whether he's released in the 90s. I don't know on the C-27Js, but they're almost like, for those of you might not be watching the YouTube feed, but the C-27 or the HC-27J is almost like someone's taken a Hercules, C-130, and kind of squished it down into a kind of a smaller baby brother kind of version. But very interesting indeed. Good story there, Armando. Next up from Armando is a really interesting story, and this comes, I hope, with some great pictures, because the picture that we're seeing here in the show notes looks absolutely stunning. And this is all about a sea glider.
Now, the guys are going to put up some pretty cool pictures of this. This is from Flight Global. A company called Regent is landing its first military contract for its sea glider concept. The U.S. military, as we've kind of mentioned over the last couple of years, when they tried to embark on this amphibious C-130 concept, they were talking about buying the Japanese amphibious aircraft. So they're exploring this potential of an experimental amphibian wing in ground effect vehicle to improve some logistics in maritime environments. This is not a new concept at all. It's actually just after World War II, and then in the early 1950s, a couple different companies, a couple different countries tried to come up with this kind of wing and ground effect concept. So it's not really anything new. It's probably just modern technology. But the U.S. Marine Corps is contracting with this company, Regent, out of Rhode Island, here in the United States, to demonstrate the company's, what they're calling the sea glider concept. Now that combines the elements of hydrofoil ships with wing and ground effect aircraft to move rapidly over water at low altitude, really incredibly low altitude, just a couple feet. Regent announced that this $4.75 million deal with the U.S. Marine Corps went into effect on the 18th of October. Now, Regent is calling this aircraft, the Sea Glider, they're going to operate it exclusively in the maritime domain. It's an all-electric aircraft or craft that will take off and land from water with a hull, hydrofoils before transitioning into ground effect flight just a few feet above the surface. Of course, at such altitudes, or I don't know, it's kind of almost touching the water, but these aircraft can benefit from efficiency improving phenomenon known as ground effect that affects all aircraft that we've talked about on the show. But that is, that little cushion of air that forms between an aircraft's wings and the surface. In the civilian world, a hybrid form of travel has kind of raised some questions about how these vehicles are going to be regulated, certificated by the FAA. Is it the FAA? It's not really flying. It's kind of just gliding along the water. Now, the company Regent is arguing that the Sea Glider concept offers lower maintenance requirements of a ship plus the speed of an aircraft, but without the lengthy pilot training and the air defense vulnerabilities of helicopters and conventional aircraft, because it is basically stuck to the water. Now, the goal of the U.S. Marine Corps demonstration program is to validate the aircraft's ability to operate in each of its modes of operation, if you want to call it that, the hull, the foil, the wingborne mode. These trials are going to inform how they're going to certify this aircraft, the certification requirements, and kind of offer the U.S. Department of Defense an opportunity to evaluate the vehicle's potential military operations. But, with the vast geography of the Pacific Ocean, which is really where, this is going to be designed to operate, something needs to be done where the aircraft don't currently have the range, or you need to, flood the air with a tanker bridge type thing like that. So having an aircraft that is all electric, that can operate just, a couple feet above the water is going to be a huge tactical advantage. The question is, how will the electrical part of this work once you get there, or are you going to recharge it? So we'll keep an eye on this one, but it's a pretty cool looking airplane, and airplane, or maybe it's a boat. I don't know. We'll try to figure it out. Maybe the chat room can vote.
I would say aeroboat. Covers both bases.
Aeroboat?
Aeroboat.
Okay, fair enough. If you
it
say
covers
so.
both
Yeah.
basis.
If you say so.
I mean, it looks blinking cool. I mean, the first picture that Matt had on that story, obviously the rendering one looks really good. But obviously that last picture there on the story there, it does look quite good, and it would be great, as Nick was saying earlier, little kind of island hopper to go between places in the US and stuff. But Richard Adams is saying in the chat room, quite rightly so, salt water and electric motors.
I mean, I'm sure they've thought of that.
Dirk S makes a fantastic comment in the chat room, Matt. Can you see that one?
No point in asking me.
Okay. It's Dirk says, Aero McBoatface.
Oh, I see. Yes, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Oh, thanks for that, Dirk. Very good, very good. But no, it's a good, interesting concept. Whether it actually does happen and goes into full production, and we see hundreds of these whisking their way from island to island over in the US, I don't know.
Fingers crossed, as they say. It's
Yeah, we covered a story similar to this back in episode 414. If you want to see more on that, but yeah. But we have got some sort of, not breaking news. Well, I suppose it is breaking news. It's something that happened today. Now, Nev, there was an interesting bit of flying went on today at one of our regional airports here in the UK, wasn't there?
More like rallycross, I would say. The BBC reporting that I think the airport's open now, but I'm not sure if it is actually. But at the moment, it says that Leeds Bradford Airport is closed after plane skids off runway in storm. Holiday jet skidded off a runway as it came to land amid wet and windy conditions as storm Barbet swept the UK. The TUI flight from Corfu moved off the runway whilst landing. I love that expression. At Leeds Bradford Airport this afternoon. The airport said that all passengers have been safely taken off the plane and the airport had closed, with travellers urged to check with their airlines before setting off. West Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service said that there were no injuries or fires. The airport spokesman said, "We can confirm there have been no reported injuries from this incident and that all passengers have now safely disembarked the aircraft, but the airport is now closed. We're working with the airline, relevant operations teams and emergency authorities to resolve this situation and return services safely and as quickly as possible. We ask passengers to contact their airline to check the status of their flight before travelling to the airport." The fire service said command unit has now been stood down, and the Environment Agency said flood alerts and warnings have been issued due to continued heavy rain brought on by Storm Barbette. Yes, it looks like that 7-3 has gone through a bit of a tough mudder session. Yes, that's going to be a tricky one.
It's going to need a bit more of a pressure wash, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I've got one I can lend them if it'll help. I've got a nice little Karcher one.
I mean, there's someone's going to have to do some serious gardening on that airport field.
I mean, we're making light of this, but of course, actually, certainly in our part of the region, Carlos, I don't know if you agree, but I don't think I've ever seen in our living memory,
oh my word, no.
Sort of like flooding like it in this part of the world.
We've had some big floods, but not like today.
Yeah, Mum was sort of comparing it because there is great concern in this part of the world at the moment about high tide, which is due around about midnight here in the UK.
Oh, blimey!
And there are some severe concerns that it could be like the flooding back in the 50s in places like Lowestoft.
Oh, 1953.
Yeah, I think, yeah, indeed. Yeah, so we'll have to see. But
scary stuff.
Indeed. So I'm not, to be honest with you, with that in mind, Nev, I'm surprised actually this is the only one that's sort of raised its head for now, really.
Well, yes. I mean, and quite often you get fire crews on local standby in blustery conditions like this. But Leeds Bradford is a particularly difficult one because it's one it is the highest altitude airport in the UK, and it's always windy and it's always blowy and just nice.
So, that is true.
But no, glad that everyone's okay. But a bit of paperwork to fill out.
Some paperwork, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And there was also another FUME event on a BA flight as well yesterday, 19th. That was yesterday, wasn't it?
Not like that one on the EasyJet, then?
Not quite, no. It was... actually, I think it's probably one of the ones you've been on there. This was Golf Uniform.
I have never caused a FUME event.
Oh, Golf Echo Uniform Foxtrot.
I was going to say, how very rude.
Yeah, Uniform Foxtrot, Nev, one of the 320s.
How very dare you.
But yeah, this is quite serious. Well, quite a serious one. This was, as I said yesterday, that was flying from Newcastle to Heathrow when the flight crew donned their oxygen masks after noticing. Are you ready? A foul odour in the cockpit.
Okay.
Both the flight crew started to feel ill, made an emergency landing on Heathrow's runway 27 left. Both pilots are taken to medical facilities for an assessment and subsequently taken to hospital. Blimey. So that was yesterday. So, yeah, we've seemed to be getting a few of these lately, didn't we, these FUME events on board.
I thought they were restricted to 757s and 146s. Those the two aircraft that had the most problems with that. Yes, I should be keeping a keen eye out on that reg number to see where
Uniform
it's going if
Foxtrot.
I'm getting on it at all. So, yes, I'll have a look.
So it's that time where we're going to give away something like we do every week on the show. We give away stuff. And Nev, what are we giving away this week?
We are giving away a rather nice mug, actually, that you got there, Carlos, haven't you?
Yes.
I've got some pictures. Just bear with me a moment.
We've certainly got some pictures of it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a very nice mug that we picked up at the Duxford Air Show the other day. Look at that. What a cracking job that is. So the question was, everybody knows the Duxford-based B-17 as Sally B. But what was the name that's painted on the other side of the aircraft's forward section? And of course, the answer is Memphis Belle. We had a lot of correct answers in for this one. So my London Biggin Hill hat here is absolutely full of the correct answers. Just make sure they all go in there. So I shall draw out the correct answer or one of the correct answers, and then we shall send the mug off to the person concerned. I shall have a good old rum.
While you're doing that, Nev, fun facts on the film Memphis Belle. That was filmed at RAF Binbrook in Lincolnshire here in the UK. It was also filmed as well at the Imperial War Museum at Duxford and also at RAF Little Risington in Gloucestershire. There we go. Good film it is. I've seen that a few times now, Memphis Belle. It's quite an old film, but in its time, it was blinking well done, I think. Have you seen the film, Matt, as a matter of interest?
No.
Okay. Honestly, Nick, what about you? Have you seen the Memphis Belle?
No.
Nev, please.
Right, moving on to the next item.
Oh my word! What am I surrounded by? No, John, have you seen it? No, he's tuned out.
Oh,
dear.
Anyway, Nev, who has won the B-17 mug this week?
Right, I've pulled his name out of the hat. It is Stephen Patterson. Well done, Stephen. Carlos will send you the prize in the post tomorrow, on Monday, whenever he gets around to it. And I'll make sure that we've got the address and we'll send it over to you.
Well done, Stephen. Well done. Let me know your address. I'll get that posted out.
Yeah.
Now, Nev, what are we going to be giving away this week?
Oh, it's a good question, and I'll have to check my my notes for that. That you've
hopefully Matt's got the pictures.
I can put a picture up if that helps, Nev.
That's going to help.
There we go.
Actually, yeah. Look at that. It's the Dam Buster, The Life of Guy Gibson, written by Susan Ottaway, and she actually wrote or co-wrote the John Hutchinson book as well. This is going to be a really, I mean, presumably you've read it, Carlos, as well. So.
I have. It's very good indeed. Yes.
So there we go. Excellent. Now, I think this is quite a tricky question, actually, that the one we can pose. And it's so tricky, I'm going to give them, there's a multiple choice answer to this one. So let's see how we get on. What is generally considered to be the world's oldest commercial airline, which was established in 1919? Is it KLM, Qantas, or Delta? What is generally considered to be the world's oldest commercial airline, which was established in 1919? Was it KLM, Qantas, or Delta? Answers to our email address, please, podcast@planetalkinguk.com, and we shall read out the winners next week. We'll pick them out of the hat as always. But I think that's quite a tricky one. I know the answer, but I didn't know the answer before I set the question and looked it up. So there we go.
Yeah, I've got an idea. I've got a guess, but I'm not going to say anything.
We're not allowed to take part in it.
No, I know.
I mean, a bit pointless because Carlos actually has it in his house. So
yeah, I've got the book here for those of you. There we go. Look, it does exist. The book is here. It's a very, very good book indeed, and it's got some really. Let me just, for the benefit of the cameras, you can see this on here. It's got some really, really great illustrations and stuff inside from the time with Guy Gibson, and also from the raid itself. I don't know if you can see. There we go. For those of you in the world of YouTube land, you can see some great pictures there as well in the book. So get your answers in, as Nev said. I'll pop the details and stuff on our socials as well. For those of you who may be listening to the audio podcast, you can get yourselves over onto our Facebook page and find out more info on there. So there we go. It's as easy as that. Matt, you need some serious blooming education. I need to get these films onto a pen drive for you so you can do some watching films.
You're all right, thanks.
We need to do our PT UK film night.
Yeah, okay. Perhaps you could just send me a link to a legitimate site where I can...
digital downloads. Always digital downloads.
Right, okay.
Have you never seen that when you buy a DVD? I know that's old school for you.
Buy a
Matt,
DVD?
Buying a DVD.
Oh, so quaint. Love that. Love that. Yeah.
I've still got a DVD player.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a Blu-ray player. Technically,
is it on one of the streaming platforms? Because I got quite a few of them.
I think it is actually. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
yeah.
I'll have a look.
Have a look.
I actually have a
You need
weekend
to
where
watch
I'm
these.
doing very, very little, so I shall do my very best to.
That's what I like to hear.
Mainly because we're underwater and we can't go anywhere. But it's
Oh my
just
word, I know.
Indeed.
All we need is more blinking rain tomorrow. Honestly.
Oh, lovely. Anyway,
But let's
shall
have
we
a
wrap
quick.
up?
Let's have a quick wrap up then. What everyone is up to this week. We'll start off with Nick.
Well, I think that having been doing the editing of the show notes now for 7 or 8 months, I think I'm going to make it my promise to everybody that we're not going to have any stories relating to bodily functions.
Oh,
next
thank
week.
you very much. I'm eternally grateful.
Or at least if we are, I'm not going to read them out.
Right. Yes.
No.
That wasn't at all deliberate.
No.
We'll get John to read them out next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll make for entertainment.
We'll enjoy it. Yeah. Yeah. We'll enjoy it.
And Matt, what are ye up to next week, apart from coming to visit me for dinner?
I'm swimming mostly, I think. Just swimming from A to B. I think that's what.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
What's that? What? Right. Send. Hey. I've forgotten somebody else has got control of the studio. I don't like it. I was trying to hide. Go away. Send Matt's viewing list for the weekend to +44 757 2249166. There
Well
you
done.
go. You absolute swine, John. Yeah. So that's
Mr. Bounds. What are you up to?
What have you done there?
Hold on.
I'll stop.
Hold on.
It's like children playing, isn't it? Honestly.
It's all right. It's back under control again.
John, go and get your whiskey and sit down. Anyway,
to be fair, it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning for him.
Mr. Bounds, Mr. Bounds, what are ye up to next week?
Well, looking at my calendar, I've got the flu jab on Monday.
Oh, that's lovely.
Always an exciting
That's
item.
next week written off.
So that's Monday. Actually, what I'm doing next week, I'm holding the fort because somebody in my company has managed to allow almost everybody to have next week off because it's half term. And so the old... I nearly said a bad word. The old chaps, myself and my colleague John, are holding the fort whilst everybody goes on a week's holiday.
Lovely.
So we're going to be extremely busy, I think, answering emails and putting out fires and what have you. But I don't mind too much because the following Sunday, so Sunday week, I shall be going to Gran Canaria, as I said, with Mrs. Nev. And
love that.
That very much indeed. So it's going to be hectic next week. I can feel it already.
Feel it.
I'm sure the company will be better for it, Nev, having you at the helm.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you'll have to ask them, but I do my best. I do my best.
Indeed. Firefighting since like 1974 or whatever.
As Nev does best. Exactly. And I shall be entertaining Matt for dinner at one point next week, I should imagine, I do. And enjoying...
I just interrupt. I'm so sorry. I've forgotten to say that on Tuesday evening, Mrs. Nev and I are going to see James Martin, the chef, at the new theatre in Oxford.
Very jealous about that.
And he's a very entertaining fellow. We've seen him once before, but we are going to go and eat before we go to his gig because obviously he does live cooking on stage. And the trouble is, if you haven't eaten before you get there, the smell coming off the stage is phenomenal. So sorry to interrupt you, but it just occurred to me that was a very important thing.
Exciting. I look forward to photos of that next week, please, Nev. Is that allowed?
Do you get to have Pinot while you're there, Nev? Bit of Grigio?
I'll have to ask him, and if not, I'll just bring my own bottle.
Well,
okay, bring a bowl. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, amen.
So we're going to say a big thanks to everyone who's joined us in the YouTube chat room this evening. Thank you to all the usual family members for joining us and helping us in the chat room as they do each week. It's great to see you all in there. Don't forget to search for us on the social medias, Plain Talking UK. You can also look at us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for Plain Talking UK. That WhatsApp number is +44 757 224 9166. Send us your pictures if you want to have your picture on the green screen like Jonathan Warner does here. Send them to that number, or you can email the show. We'd love to hear your feedback. It's podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. And don't forget our glorious website, which is all the w's.plaintalkinguk.com, where you can find links to our shop where you can get yourself a glorious PTUK t-shirt and also one of our fantastic PTUK mugs, as well as the military grey mug as well. If you've not got yourself one of those already, they are blinking awesome. Jonathan Warner will tell you that. You can also find links on there to Patreon and PayPal if you want to become a supporter of the show, because it does genuinely help us to provide the content that we do each week on the show. So that's it for episode 476 of the show. We'll be back, hopefully all being well with the weather, next Friday at 7 o'clock here on YouTube. So have a great weekend, whatever you're up to. Stay dry, stay safe, and we'll see you all next Friday. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.